BoxingVoice.com, live here with trainer Ben Davison, trainer of multiple people, Josh Taylor, Undisputed, and obviously Devin Haney going into battle Saturday night. I spoke with one of the other team members, both Bill Haney and Mickey Bay. They seem very confident. They're saying we're going to see something we've never seen. What are you seeing from Devin?
I think it depends on what JoJo brings. I think obviously it's no secret that he's going to look to try and set a high tempo, but we're talking about it, so we're prepared for that. But we're also prepared for if he looks to be patient, because I believe if he does look to set a higher tempo, he'll be running into things that he knows that he can't continue to keep running into, and therefore the tempo may come down. He may end up being a little bit more patient. If that's the case, we're prepared for that as well.
Ben, you look like the guy, well, not look, but you sound like a trainer that would have never given the instructions of going in there after a first-round knockout, which is what T.O. went for. And I'm just gathering that from obviously your fight with Fury. You told him to relax. Here you're saying Devin needs to relax. What do you think about Saturday's performance?
Yeah,
obviously?
I don't think I'll get labelled as a defensive coach, but really out of the last 9 title fights, all have been won and 7 by knockout. So it's just because defense is so rarely something that's taught, discussed, coached, worked on. However, defense can lead into offense and vice versa. Offense can lead into defense. So, of course, the difference is that you have to be respectful of the opponent and the opponent's abilities. You can't. Exactly that. Teofimo went in there trying to set a high tempo, rushed his work, and ended up running into something against someone that wasn't considered a puncher. So exactly the same. JoJo tries to set a pace too high, he will run into something that deep down he'll know he can't continue to keep taking. I just think that the most important thing is being humble in preparation, respecting the opponent's abilities, but confident in action when it comes to final.
So with JoJo, I think that his highest rate for success would be kind of like what Canelo did to Plant, mix that in, with how he fought Tevin Farmer, which means closing the distance. Do you think he has any other way of getting the win or gaining success?
World title challenger, former world title challenger. And on Saturday night,
I wouldn't say success because I believe that we're prepared for whatever. If he looks to engage in his lead hand and have a bit of a chess match with Devin, Devin's prepared for that. I don't think he'll feel that that's the best way to go about it, but again, if he looks to come forward, high volume, set a high tempo, we're prepared for that. 126-pound Lee Wood went against the fighter with the highest punch record in history, Kanzu, one of my fighters. All of a sudden his punch output wasn't the same. 12th round knockout victory for my man. We know how to control those guys, and if that's what JoJo looks to do, we know how to control it.
Well, specifically in that Canelo Plant fight, you've seen Canelo going, targeting the backside, the hip, to slow down the more agile fighter. And seems like JoJo does that in that Tevin Farmer fight and in the Rockamore fight. Is that something you picked up on? And obviously, I know you're going to say you have something prepared for that, but is that something you expect to, reveal itself in this fight?
No, because we won't end up in that situation. One of the key differences in that is Canelo was the physically bigger, stronger guy. Maybe not bigger in frame-wise, but he was the more physical guy. Plant was wary of him. Devin's a big lightweight. He's a big guy for a lightweight. JoJo's a smaller guy. So even when it comes up close, there's nothing to suggest that JoJo will be stronger. But also, big fan of Caleb Plant, but that situation was due to a bit of a lack of varied forms of defense. However, as I said, Devin's prepared and he's got varied forms of defense in his locker.
please welcome Mark.
How did you, interpret, receive the Linares punch that Devin took? I look at it like he's got a solid chin. Linares put down Campbell and Loma. Devin took the shot. Other people think he might be chin-y because of how he reacted to the shot and after the shot. What were your thoughts as the trainer?
One thing Devin, I think, is a key component of his success is that he doesn't play down the opponent. He said to me before the fight, he said to me since, if he's in the ring with someone or a sparring partner, he'll say, oh, do you know what, he won a round off me sparring, or he gave me good work, or he touched me up that day, or whatever. He's honest, and he said to me before the fight, when I sparred Linares, every punch, like, he carries power, which we already know that. He landed a good shot, part and parcel of the game. It was something that we'd discussed, a scenario that we'd discussed before the fight, but it's part of experience, and if that is to ever happen again in the situation, I'm sure he'll be slightly more composed and be a little bit more comfortable with the situation, because he's been there, seen it and done it.
Kambosos was a plus 1100 going into that fight. JoJo's a plus 1200 to get a stoppage. Obviously the bookies are supposed to know more than us, but they got it wrong last week. How dangerous of an opponent is JoJo Diaz, in your opinion?
I think it depends on how well Devin goes about his job. I feel like if Devin gets it right and goes about it the right way, this is a potential showcase performance, like a real blow people away type performance. Goes about it the wrong way, it becomes a tough fight. Like I said, humble in preparation. I respect JoJo Diaz and JoJo Diaz's capabilities. So the key component is Devin. He is the better fighter, but he has to get it right.
Is it casual, or a casual mindset to think that because JoJo started at 122, the probability of Devin getting a stoppage is higher? Or you think, you know, fighters can acclimate and become full-blown whatever division they're fighting at?
Roy Jones went up to heavyweight. Canelo started off at 154, went up to, well, going up to cruiserweight now. Like,
technically, he started at 140.
Manny Pacquiao. Yeah, he did. Yeah, Manny Pacquiao got stopped very early on in his career, and went up and was blowing away like middleweights and welterweights. So, no, it doesn't mean too much. Like I said, it's very, very important that you're humble in your preparation and respect your opponent. JoJo Diaz has earned his right to be here.
So Ben, I've asked both other trainers, Father and Mickey Bay, if they feel a little weird, because I would assume Devin is eventually going to move up to 40. You have this undisputed champ, and now you're getting like this close, intimate look into Devin. Are you just going to assure that that fight never happens?
Yeah, that fight's not going to happen. They're both part of the same team. I work with Josh, I work with Devin, so that fight doesn't need to and won't end up crossing paths.
They seem to think, Mickey Bay specifically, that Josh will always be a division or two above because he's such a big guy. How far do you see him going up, and where do you think he levels out Josh Turley?
Josh's perfect career weight is 140. He makes it very comfortably. To be honest with you, he could probably make lightweight at a push, but it's not something that we'd do because it probably may take something out of him, but he makes 140 comfortably. However, you know, the natural progression when you become undisputed is can I step it up a weight with the bigger guys and become a two-weight world champion. That's a goal of Josh's, so that's something he'll be looking to do. Obviously, you have to see how the landscape lies. Initially, we fought Crawford with a top-ranked situation. It might be a case of that fight's a possibility. However, we know that Crawford's looking to unify, and hopefully he wants to become the undisputed at 147. So obviously he's parted ways with top rank. So that fight obviously looks a lot less likely now. But we just have to play it by ear. But as I said, humble in your preparation and respect the opponent. We've got Jack Catchwood to take care of first.
I was going to ask that. Are you interested in the Crawford fight? Hypothetically, if he were still with Top Rank, or it was still a way to make it, you wanted that directly after the Catterall fight?
Yeah, that's what Bob gave Josh a couple of options. Obviously with Josh's advisor as well, and the discussions were that he wanted to take that Terence Crawford fight. In an ideal world, you'd have a fight in between, get accustomed and acclimated to 147.
You know Crawford jumped straight up. No acclamation for
No,
Crawford.
he didn't, but he fought Jeff Horn. Jeff Horn wasn't, you know, the best
Terence
147. Crawford. Yeah, Terence Crawford is the best 147 fighter out there, but the type of guy that Josh is, and he's shown that throughout his career, that he's willing to fight anybody and everybody.
I was so shocked. Top Rank showed Josh meeting Crawford. Bro, he's so big. How does he even make that weight?
He's just
like, he's a lot bigger than Crawford.
So everybody says it. Obviously him and Devin, when Devin was like, he's huge, and Crawford was like, damn, he's big. Body frames, that's what I say, is a perfect 140, but natural progression is obviously to move up and trying to become a two-weight world champion.
I'm sure as a student of the game, because you're one of the youngest trainers, but to get here you've had to study. What happened to the good old days where guys could just stay in the division and defend and be the man, like Ponce de Leon and Bernard Hopkins? They had a bunch of defenses and stood in their division most of their careers. Now we're seeing this jump up in weight. Not that Sugar Ray and others didn't do it in the past, but it seems more of a trend in this for this generation. What do you prefer?
I think it depends on the fighter. The reality is people don't want to hear it. Boxing is a business. Obviously, there's more world titles now, more sanctioning fees you have to pay, etc., and it's mandatory after mandatory after mandatory. When it was a free belt, undisputed, obviously there's not as many sanctioning fees, not as many mandatories. So it does make the situation a little bit harder. However, I just think, like you say, it's become, oh well, so-and-so become a two-weight world champion, so-and-so become a three-weight world champion, that's something I'd like to achieve. So I just think, like I say, it's a natural progression.
So I know you, because you know, UK dudes, you two guys are too nice, even though some of your fans can be very brutal, but you didn't take offense to AJ going to another country looking for a trainer?
No, not at all.
But did you secretly want him to come to you? I think you're a great trainer.
Yeah, not secretly want him to come to me, and it's I wouldn't make any secret about it.
Oh wait, but damn, you were with Fury. It wouldn't make sense. Would you even accept that?
He's not fighting Fury. It's no secret. I want to see Anthony Joshua beat Alexander Usyk. Not because I've got anything against Usyk, but I just believe that
you want to help the UK
to a degree, but more so than anything to do with the UK. This is my view on it. That Anthony Joshua, it was almost like I'd be not critical of him, but I always just felt like what happened against Andy Ruiz was going to happen with the style that he had. However, the adjustments that he made after that fight and the Pulev fight, I thought that's someone that's trusted in his team, committed himself to his craft, made huge progression to completely adapt. And it's not to say he needs to completely go away from anything that he's doing, but he's grown and learned and studied, and very impressed by that. But there was key principles that I could tell he didn't quite understand in the Usyk fight, and anybody that's committed to their craft and is willing to show their craft that much commitment and belief in their team and want to make those adjustments to completely change his style, I feel like he deserves, to win that fight, and he's shown that he can do it when people doubted him against Andy Ruiz in the rematch, and I'd like to see him do it this time. But I do think that Eddie Reynoso, I think that's not a good fit if that's where he goes.
Even with the cultural differences and language barrier?
I'm sure they've got enough money between them to afford a translator.
That still is like a bridge, it's still a mediator.
Boxing's body language when you're in there. Between you and your opponent, it's body language. If he can show, this is what I mean, this is what I want you to do, this is why I want you to do it. If you've got enough brain, you can see, oh, I understand why he wants me to do that. Or just watching someone like...
What about for Andy? I never liked that suggestion, because if I'm Andy, I went to you to help me get back to the AJ fight. Now you're bringing in AJ, I'll never get that fight.
Who's to say it's a long-term thing? Might just be for this Usyk fight, we don't know.
That's another question I want to ask. I heard you say, or it sounded like you would be willing to help him, but only as a one-time fight, or only if you're not fighting Fury?
One fight at a time. If he doesn't beat Usyk.
But if he beats Usyk, he's going to be so happy with you.
Then you have to reevaluate the situation. However, it's like what we're saying now about Devin. Oh, this, and this. First thing I said to him when I come in the gym, focus on JoJo Diaz. JoJo Diaz. No one else matters. Deal with whatever's next after. So,
was that something that was, I guess, touched on in the camp again, or reinforced, especially after Saturday?
Yeah, that's what I mean. The first day back in the gym, sat down, was wrapping his hands, and I focus on JoJo Diaz. And he was like, for sure. And then Eddie come out and said, I spoke to him straight after the fight, and first thing Devin said was focus on JoJo Diaz.